Something has happened in the last couple years, I feel like, at least especially, where it feels like fitness content, particularly on YouTube, is no longer about fitness. Like, do any of you feel that, recognize that, think that? Have you ever had that thought? I just feel like there are certain creators, and I will name names here, who started out as like just people with the most pure and clear of intentions. It was basically like, hey, I love lifting. I'm obsessed with it. It's a huge part of my life. It's perhaps one of the most meaningful parts of my life. And, I want to share it with you, and I want to, provide you value that is based on the problems that I have solved in my own lifting. That's like how fitness content creators get their start. At least that's how they used to get their start. And then what's happened over time is the more money that has been sort of introduced into the equation of fitness content creators, or just fitness content creation in general, the more that people have moved away from that. Now, I actually don't think that in and of itself is a problem. I'm not saying that everyone should make content a particular way. I'm just saying that I'm kind of annoyed personally about the direction that the fitness industry seems to be going, which is the direction that much of the world seems to be going, and much of just really art that used to be truly artistic, as compared to now art that feels like it's made to just be this vehicle for revenue generation. So let me give you a few specific examples. So when I started out in fitness, and when I say that, I mean like when I really started taking lifting seriously, I don't know, close to a decade ago now, I used to watch Mike Israetel's videos, and in particular, I used to watch Mike Israetel's videos that he would do with Omar Isuf, and I forget the other, Silent Mike. I forget Mike's last name. And those videos were awesome. Like, I don't know if any of you watched that or remembered that, but those videos were awesome. It just felt like, damn, these are like dudes who I could relate to, at least in some tangential, parasocial way. They just seem like they love lifting, they love talking about lifting, and they want to share it with me. And that's amazing, because I felt like I could listen or watch a video that they made, and then the next day I could go into the gym and apply something. And it would be cool, because I could figure things out for myself. I was challenged to sort of decipher their opinion, and whether or not that made sense for me applying it the next day. There was no like super confident communication, at least that I remember, that was like under the guise of science that said you must do this for this amount of growth, or like you won't be maximizing this. It wasn't about maximization. It was about like a passion for fitness. And Mike in particular, I mean, many people are aware of this, just over time has kind of shifted. And I'm not saying inherently this is good or bad, but he shifted from that kind of content over a very long period to now what is RP and the RP YouTube channel, which to me, I don't know, just to be honest, and again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong in and of itself, I just am annoyed by it, that it feels like the RP YouTube channel has turned into kind of like, almost like a meme of itself, right? Like, one of the things that Mike does a lot now is he will critique other people in his videos, and yet like when you actually see videos of his training, and you actually, when you talk to people who are capable of understanding like what hard training looks like, as an example, it's something that again becomes this like meme of a meme, where you're watching a dude who's constantly commenting on what other people are doing, making claims about whether this thing they're doing is optimal, or whether that range of motion is optimal, or whether they've gotten a deep enough stretch. And yet you look at his own training, and you don't see a lot of the things applied that he's talking about, or that he says are like the most important things. And so it's like, what is going on here? It seems like we've moved away from talking about the actual territory, and now we've just moved toward like describing the map and what the theoretical ideal is for the sake of views and clicks and money. And that has been really disappointing to see because honestly, I think Mike is an incredibly smart guy on some level. I think that he is capable. Obviously, he was capable of making that sort of more authentic style of fitness content. I've seen this with other creators too. Jesse James West, if any of you know him, who is now like one of the most popular fitness YouTubers, he started out making content about lacrosse actually. And I used to play lacrosse in high school, and so he and I are basically the same age. And I used to like watch his vlogs, his lacrosse vlogs, and his lifting vlogs, and it was super cool to see him just go through the process of like talking about lacrosse, filming his own shooting, filming his lifting, talking about his progression in lifting in tandem with the lacrosse, him making the decision to stop playing lacrosse because I think he was going to play Division One and moving toward, lifting as like his passion. It felt like there was so much fire under his ass that was purely motivated by lifting and like the excitement for lifting. And now what his videos are is like this. It's like this fitness version of like of like Mr. Beast, basically, where his latest video is like fitness influencers versus cops, who's stronger, right? So it's almost like fitness content is now no longer about fitness. It's actually about like personas in fitness and what those personas say in relation to each other and what those personas apparently think, but not really, because it's kind of like constantly there's this facade of the fitness influencer, like in the way that Mike Israetel needs to inject 1,500 jokes into every video, in the way that Jesse just needs to be constantly like on fire with energy and pretending like he's like, basically coked up, through the whole video. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like if you're just viewing this stuff as entertainment, then that's great, and you can put it in the entertainment bucket. I'm just speaking as someone who has seen the trajectory of these people. I mean, and I could name several more who over time have moved away from the thing, right? It's like the thing that has launched them into the public orbit and into the millions and millions of dollars that they're now making is now the thing that they're kind of leaving aside. It's like an afterthought. It's like, oh, here's an idea for a YouTube video and a thumbnail and a title, and then over here maybe here's like the lifting stuff. Again, it's just never front of mind. And then on the other hand, you have people who are like now, and Mike is obviously overlapping with this, but you have people who are supposed scientific, content creators who I think in some cases make great content with good value. Like I think Jeff Nippard's videos are kind of hit or miss for me. I think that the information that he provides is incredibly useful and clear for the average to beginner lifter person. But much of the way the content is packaged is not as this kind of like authentic expression of himself. It's more like whatever does well on the YouTubes, which again I can't really fault him for. He's had tremendous success with it, and just Jeff in particular and the way he goes about his content, I have a lot of respect for. What I think is his integrity, and just in the way that I kind of interpret how he's navigated the space over the decade plus that he's been making YouTube videos. But Jeff is also someone who kind of started out on the more like personal, authentic side of it, who has now become largely controlled by what does well on the algorithm. So that's I don't know if that's just me. I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments. And what I want to say now is just that I do have hope for the fitness industry, and I do have hope for the fitness industry because I know for a fact that there are content creators who are, despite the fact that they may get lower views, despite the fact that they might not make as much money as they could, are choosing to keep fitness and lifting at the center of the bullseye, and to deprioritize, things like catchy thumbnails and titles and like overly edited stuff. They're willing to deprioritize that stuff because a lot of times there is a tension. There's this tension between the entertainment aspect and the education aspect of content. So I want to like call out a few names to just give some examples of people that I think are doing a really good job of this, just from what I've observed. One is GVS, Jeffrey. I think that's how you. Some people say Joffrey, some people say Jeffrey. GVS is doing, I think, a great job of this. Alexander Bromley seems to be doing a good job of this. Again, these are guys who are just like, it seems like they love fitness. They love to talk about this stuff. And they kind of each have their own way of like communicating. And it's just cool to, I don't even care about whether I agree or disagree with either one of those guys. I'm just interested in hearing what they have to say, because they're a person who is passionate like I am. And so to me, that is like, I'm willing to listen to anyone who is just speaking for themselves and who is speaking passionately and who seems to have the end goal of actually creating and providing value for others while, being able to create a living themselves. Like, I don't fault anyone for wanting to make money. The reason I post on YouTube at all is to make money ultimately and to find a way to kind of express my passion. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Another person who I think does a fantastic job of this is a guy whose name is, I don't even know his real name, but his YouTube handle is Basement Bodybuilding. He's literally a guy who sits in his basement and lifts and just like talks to the camera and just like interacts genuinely with his audience. And I can tell he's someone who's put a lot of thought into this and who cares a lot about it. And so, I'm sure there are many other examples of people like this who are making content, not for the sake of making content and views and money as a top priority, but those things hopefully sitting secondarily to the passion that they have for fitness and their desire to share their experience so that other people like them. Here's really ultimately what it feels like. Like, what I really appreciate about these guys is, and this is kind of my goal for my channel, is it feels to me like they're making content as if they're speaking, as if they're literally sitting across from themselves, from younger versions of themselves. And it feels to me like they're communicating the lessons that they've now learned to their younger selves, right? And that's like how progress is made in any industry. You have people who have experience and understanding of a topic. They go through long periods of time, bumping into hard objects, figuring things out. And then that generation of people communicates all of those hard lessons to the prior generation. And the people who really give a fuck in that younger generation, rather, not prior, but younger generation, the people who really give a fuck in that younger generation, they're the people who really listen and who really apply this stuff. And yeah, they're going to be bumping into hard objects all the time too, but they have the lessons of this older generation of these passionate people who, again, are talking to their younger selves. And so their starting place is better than the generation ahead of them. And then their starting place, right, is the next generation's starting place is better, and the next generation, and that's how things get better, and that's how lifting becomes even more enjoyable, because you're getting the results that you want to see. You're able to solve the problems. It's not that you don't have problems; it's just that you're more equipped to solve problems because other people have solved those problems before you, and each person has their own way of communicating that. And so when you have a bunch of people who are making authentic content on YouTube, there's no competition, right? It's kind of weird, but when you look at like the Jesse James West and the RP and the Will Tennyson, these people who are making videos now where the lifting is like the afterthought, that kind of a thing, all those people are directly competing with one another, because they're competing for views, right? They're competing for clicks. If you see two thumbnails, whose are you going to click on, right? Whose is more flashy? But in this like authentic fitness creator economy, everyone has a slightly different take because you care about the information. And so everyone, even if I have the same exact opinion as someone else, I'm going to communicate it differently. Another name that I forgot to mention is Alec Blennis. If any of you know him, I consider him a colleague and friend now at this point. And he's just someone who just cares so deeply about the craft. And he's going to have his own way of expressing what he wants to express. And I'm going to have my own way of doing it. And even if we come to the same conclusion, maybe even the way that we get there is different. So in real time, you see people's thought processes, and and then you, the viewer, the receiver of the authentic thought process, receive it in your own way, right? If 100 people see a video, 50 of them may receive it one way, 25 another, 20 another, 5 another, whatever it happens to be. And so you just get all these different bursts of creativity and and cool interaction and cool idea formation because people are being themselves. And when you stay at the very surface level, when you're just scraping at the top of the barrel of like attention span, and you're making videos like fitness influencers versus cops, right? Again, I'm not saying, I know it may seem this way, I'm not saying it's bad, but I am personally annoyed, and I wish it would just, I wish it would just go away because people honestly are now starting to think that like that is fitness, like that's the association. And so I guess what I'm really saying is, I hope that association starts to die. I hope that association becomes just something else that we can separate completely, and us in the kind of authentic space can sort of not take it super seriously. We can almost take it as a joke in some ways. And so we can just have better conversations and real conversations. And so we don't have to be dealing with asinine claims all the time, like, contending with the idea that leg extensions are a bad quad exercise. Like, this is what happens when fitness becomes about money, ultimately, is you end up saying things and hearing things like leg extensions are a bad quad exercise. So now that I've started to get more fired up, this is the time that I will stop the recording. I'm genuinely very interested to hear what all of your opinions, comments are on this concept. I don't know, maybe I'm just going to be shouting into a kind of vacuum, a black hole of nothingness on this one, but these are just my morning thoughts with my morning coffee and my cats who are now asleep. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are.